Good evening. It is Thursday, May 30th, 2024, and coming to you from Lonely Tree Media headquarters in Tacoma, Washington. This is the Best Lamm Sports Show. I'm your host, David Lamm. With me is my son, Parker. Say hello, Parker.
Hello, Parker. Was that intro music slowing down for you?
Slowing down. I don't know what you mean, slowing down.
Like when I was listening to it, and maybe everyone else heard it too. But when I was listening to it, it sounded like it would be like dun 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 dun, dun, and it like slowed down, and then it started to go again. It did it like 3 different points in the intro. It was strange.
I did not notice it, so it might have been you.
Well,
I don't know. I don't know. I wasn't really paying attention, but I was focused on not getting the words wrong, or the date, or where I live. All those things that change.
Fair.
I was just trying to be cool. So we haven't done a show in a while. It has been a couple of Sundays since we did a show, and we got a lot of things to talk about. So we're going to talk about the NBA conference finals, the NHL conference finals. We're going to talk about the Formula One Monaco Grand Prix. We're going to talk about Major League Baseball a little bit. We're going to talk about the NFL a little bit. But the first thing we're going to talk about is sad. So Bill Walton, former Portland Trailblazer, longtime Pac-12 color commentary guy on Pac-12 basketball, two-time NBA champion, one-time NBA MVP in 1978. I could go on and on. Passed away on Monday. Sunday. Sorry, was it Sunday? What did I say? Monday. Passed away on Monday at the age of 71. Bill was a personality. Played for the Blazers for I want to say it was only 5 or 6 seasons. Two-time he won a championship in 77 with the Blazers, in 86 with the Celtics. He was the Finals MVP in 77. He was the NBA MVP in 1978. He was the 6th Man of the Year in 86 with the Celtics. He's a 2-time NCAA champion in 72 and 73, a 2-time NCAA Final Four Most Outstanding Player. He's a member of the NBA's 50th and 75th anniversary teams. And he also won an Emmy in 1991. So
For what?
Broadcast excellence.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah, right. So he's been around a couple of Sundays. He played at UCLA in college. His UCLA teams in the 3 years he was there, 3 years playing there. He went there to school for 4 years, but when he was a freshman, they only allowed him to play on the freshman team. So he didn't play varsity as a freshman. Just the 3 years, sophomore, junior, senior. They were 86-4. All 4 losses were his senior year, by the way. So,
Nice.
they won, I don't know, an incredible, 70 games in a row or something like that when he first got there. Almost unbeatable. And if you ever watched the 1973 NCAA championship game where they played Memphis State, Bill Walton was 21 of 22 from the floor and had 44 points. Almost perfect. I mean, one of the best finals, if not the best, NCAA championship game performance ever. So he was dominating at his time. Probably the best passer you'll ever see as a big man. Had this amazing knack of being able to pull the ball down, keep it over his head, and find someone with a two-handed overhead pass from, he's 6'11" and his arm's in the air. Yeah, he just had this way of finding people that were open. Anyway, I loved watching him play. I was a Blazer fan growing up. He was always fun to watch, and then they traded him to the Clippers when he started having feet problems. Both feet. He had issues with both of his feet. Caused him to lose a step or two and not be able to jump as high, but obviously he's still 6th Man of the Year in 86 with the Celtics. So an incredible career. But anyway, Bill Walton passed away at the age of 71 on Monday. Probably best known recently as that funky color guy on the Pac-12 basketball broadcasts.
Yeah, that's fair.
Is that how you remember him mostly?
I mean, I never watched him play basketball, so yeah.
Yeah.
That's That's the only way I ever remember him was
Yeah.
pissing off people on broadcasts.
The Grateful Dead enthusiast also. Um, always had a story. Always exciting to listen to you know that he's supposed to be talking about the basketball game, and he can go
Uh-huh.
off for like 5 minutes of game time or of real time, I guess, and not really focus on the basketball game. But you're so enthralled with the story, whether it's good or not, just by the way he puts the emotion into it, that it was kind of fun to listen to.
Sometimes I found there were a lot of times when I was like, "Can you please talk about what's happening?" Especially when there was like a foul or there was an announcement about to be made relative to a foul or something like that. Some sort of something where you needed to hear the refs or you needed a little speculation of what's going on. Sometimes he would take those opportunities to talk about something else.
Yeah,
And
well,
that was annoying. But most of the time, yes, you started talking. You're like, what is this guy talking about?
yeah. Your your mom made the comment that when he was young, they had that picture that came up just a minute ago with the beard and the big red hair. That
Yeah,
that it was kind of ironic that he was in Portland, that he kind of looked like Sasquatch. And I was like, yeah, a little bit.
a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
If we believe Sasquatch had red hair.
Well, I mean, brownish, reddish. It's more of an auburn. I don't know. I don't know exactly what it is, but yeah. Um, so Bill Walton, by the way, the only player in NBA history to win an NBA MVP and Sixth Man of the Year. Um, so that's kind of interesting to me, that you'd be able to do that, because most of the time you're either a star, that's why you're an MVP, right? And you're not a sixth
Right.
man, and they don't stick around usually long enough to be that sixth man off the bench. But he managed to play for quite a while. Played with the Clippers and then played with the Celtics. I think 14 years total, that he played. And for his career, I mean, he didn't play in all of those games. He missed a lot of games due to injury, but for his career, he averaged a double double, so like 14 points and 10 rebounds. That's pretty darn good. So
Yeah.
yeah. So anyway,
Yeah. He's definitely fun to listen to, and I've watched some of his old highlights. He's definitely something else on the court.
yeah. And when he was young, he was darn near unstoppable. But he had to play against Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Bob Lanier and some other big men that were just gigantic back in the day when big men dominated the sport. There was no 3-point line, So he had his work cut out for him battling Jabbar, especially because the Lakers and the Blazers were in the same division and they played each other. I don't know, like 6 times a year when they first started that divisional play. So they got real familiar with each other. So, and they both went to UCLA, so that
Yeah.
had to be a lot of fun. Anyway, my trivia question deals with Bill Walton. Bill Walton is one of only 7 men in the history of basketball to win a Naismith Trophy, James Naismith Trophy, for being the most outstanding college basketball player, and
Hmm.
and winning an NBA MVP. There's only been 7. He's one of them. So of the 6 others, how many can you name? That's the question.
Oh, jeez.
There's 6 more. If you get, we'll see how many you get right. So got to win an outstanding college basketball player, Naismith Trophy, and you won the NBA MVP at some point. So
Oh,
th-
crap.
there you go. It's tricky, right? It's a tough one. So that'll test you.
I only know one off the bat.
Yeah,
That would be Kareem.
Kareem's right for sure.
But
Yep.
he's the only person I can think of like that.
Right. Yeah. So yep. Bill Walton, by the way, won the Naismith Award all 3 years that he played varsity basketball at UCLA. He was the most outstanding player in college basketball 3 straight years. And he averaged some crazy number like 20 points a game and 15 rebounds over that time in college. So
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway, but there you go. So that's a question. You can think about it. We'll talk about it later at the end.
Okay.
Um, it's not. They're very notable names in basketball.
Okay.
So it's
Oh,
not
okay.
it's not obscure guys. These are real players. Um, they're just not. Only one of them. Here's a hint. One of them still plays.
One of them still plays.
One of them still plays, and the other 4 do not. And it's been a while since the other 4 actually played. So
Huh.
there you go. There you go. There you go. So let's move along. Let's talk about Formula One. The Monaco Grand Prix was over this last weekend, and local boy I don't know any better way to put it. Local boy Charles Leclerc, who's a Monegasque.
It's accurate.
Yeah, he wins his first ever Monaco Grand Prix. Something he's been trying for quite a while. He's had a lot of bad luck, a lot of crashes, a lot of things go wrong just in general. But
He's had a lot of luck that's his own making too,
that's
though.
true. You're not wrong.
There've been some pit stop shenanigans under the previous regime,
He,
but he's also sent it over a sausage curb or two.
yeah,
when he shouldn't have.
he also the one who had the pole for the fastest lap and then caused a red flag one year at the Monaco Grand
Yeah.
Prix and hit a wall. Yeah, right. But this was a big dream of his to win the Monaco Grand Prix, and he did, and it was relatively uneventful for him anyway. He's winning the pole. Like we've said this before on here, but when you win the pole in Monaco, you probably have a, I don't know, 75% chance of winning the whole thing. I would guess it's
There's like an exact number.
at least that high. I don't think anybody outside of the front row has won one, at least in the last 6 or 7 years.
It's got to have been a while.
Yeah. So you have to be on the front row to win one. And if you're in the pole position, it's even better. Monaco's an interesting track. There's just nowhere to pass. There's honestly, you have to take a chance and dive in on a corner.
The argument right now is that the cars are too big.
Yeah.
People are saying that like the cars are so large, that's why there's nowhere to pass. But people used to pass in Monaco when the cars were half the size.
That's true. I mean, that would be easier. But
okay, so this was posted on May 20th. It says, of the 69 winners of the Monaco Grand Prix, only 31 have been the pole position.
Okay, who've been from number 2?
That's interesting. What's that? Sorry.
How many of them have been from number 2? From the second spot.
I don't know.
See, that's the question.
And that's a boring stat.
Well, no,
about number 2.
My point is the front row wins most of the Monaco Grand Prix. You have to be on the front row if you're in
the pole sitter at Monaco has retired on 20 occasions. That's an interesting one. So now, of the 69 Monaco races, 31 times the pole sitter has won. 20 other times they crashed. So 51 times, it's all on the pole sitter.
Right. I mean,
so that leaves 18 times where it wasn't the first place person who won or crashed.
Right. Yeah. So
that's interesting.
And then if you watch the race, the excitement was all over after lap 1. And so Carlos Sainz right off the bat, I thought went wide and hit Piastri, which punctured his tire, and then he goes, hard braking off the track at one of the corners, and you're thinking, oh well, Carlos Sainz is already out, right? There's just no way, right? And then as they're talking about Carlos Sainz and all this, all of a sudden you see that there's yellow flags. But we didn't see why until
they were showing the farther up the race.
Yeah. And they were showing Leclerc out in front and Piastri, and then all of a sudden they finally go, okay, here's what happened. And that's when you see that Kevin Magnussen, who has been, let's just say, aggressive recently.
A problem.
Yeah, he was trying to sneak probably where he shouldn't have been, alongside Sergio Perez, and at some point in time made a slight move. His rear wheel hit the wall on his right. He went into Perez. There was a kerfuffle. Perez's car, I'm surprised there's anything left of that car. I mean, there was a tiny little bit. I'm surprised Perez just walked away. You see what was left of the car. You're like, holy crap.
Yeah.
What? It just disintegrated. But that was, and he took out his own teammate as well. So Magnussen and Hulkenberg both go out with Carlos Sainz. And yeah, that was an interesting lap 1. I was just mentioning on Saturday to your mother that we don't have crashes anymore. That's why it's not interesting. There's no crashes. And then this happened on lap 1.
Lo and behold.
And then
it was a pretty good one too.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a good.
I don't know if I believe that Magnussen was like super at fault.
Yeah,
because he got inside of him and he got ahead of his back tires.
He did.
But then I saw a video where it looks like he hits the wall a little bit.
He did, yeah.
And kind of wiggles, and then that's when the contact with Perez happens.
Yeah, it slowed him down just a hair. Yeah.
So like based on positioning, I'm not mad about where he was necessarily, but you can't also hit the wall and have that super tight positioning.
Yeah, he was and that's when I say when he was where he probably shouldn't have been. It was just too tight a spot. It was not that he was wrong for being there, but if you're not ahead of him, you're or even, you know what I mean? You're asking for a pinch at some point, and
Well, then they'll both go out, right? Which
and
is what happened.
and on any other track,
That
you just go off, right?
yeah.
You just go off to the side and you come back on. But in Monaco and all these street courses, there's a few of them like that.
Right.
But it's tight.
So K Mag, you're right. He was aggressive. He forced Sergio to make a one decision one way or the other. Go off the racing line and out and let him pass by because he's got a little bit of space on the inside of you, or squeeze him out and hope he breaks out of it. But then K Mag kind of took the decision away because he clipped the wall.
Yeah, there was no, there was a lot less time to decide. So
yeah, it shortened that time frame. But yeah, I've been reading about the rules with like. I've always thought soccer had the loosest goosiest of rules, and I think it might be Formula One because there's so many little outside of technical rules which seem very black and white.
Yeah,
there's so many little rules about like. Did he have passing position? It's like, well, I wouldn't have thought K-Mag was in a good passing position. But they're like, oh, well, his tires were in line. His front tires were in line with his back tires. That means he has the inside lane. The inside lane to where?
Yeah, they're going up a hill that
where are we?
Was
it's
fairly
going to curve
straight.
to the left here soon.
Yeah, it goes left and right. I'm like, but not much. It wasn't even much of a curve. It just
so it's
I don't know.
It's tough to look at those situations and go, well, that sucks.
yeah, it was a pretty bad collision. But anyway, all of them get knocked out, which is just more bad news for Red Bull. Max Verstappen qualified 6th and finished 6th.
Yeah,
because again at Monaco, nothing happens.
The top 10 finished top 10 for the first time in Monaco history.
That's crazy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, it was so uneventful after the first lap that it gets boring. Where if you've got it recorded, you just fast forward to the next. I watch it on double time.
Ocon got in a little accident.
Yeah,
right,
well,
too?
Ocon and Gasly hit each other.
It was Gasly. That's right.
Those
that's
two,
right.
those two are doing this. They're just racing. So
they want to win.
Yeah, I noticed that
That's
the Ferraris tangle occasionally, and the Alpines tangle occasionally, and the Haas's just don't. I don't know what's up with Magnussen. Kevin Magnussen he got all those.
He's
penalties.
on one this year.
Yeah, I wonder if he's trying to race bad enough that they cut him loose.
Ooh.
And he goes and finds something else. That's what I started wondering. Is he just doing it on purpose?
Mercedes has a seat for him.
Well, see, but I mean, I'm not sure K-Mag's your guy, but I mean, he's not a bad driver, and let's be honest, the Haas cars are not going to compete with any of these other cars. The Alpine and the Haas
Right.
and the they're the lower level of teams. So
You really just have a top 5 right now with Ferrari, Aston Martin, Red Bull, Mercedes, and Mercedes McLaren. And then you have a bottom 5, and they're distinctly a bottom 5 with the occasional ability to do something
Sure.
interesting on the right circumstance. But like, I'm not thinking anybody from it's not AlphaTauri anymore. From Kick Sauber is doing anything. I'm not from Red Bull Racing. I don't believe in any of those
they
teams
changed all the names.
to put out. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
That's kind of a fun part of it, but it's also kind of like, damn, what was the name of that team again?
Right. Toro Rosso, AlphaTauri, Red Bull Racing, whatever they're called now.
Something like that. Yeah.
And then
That's your
so
sponsor name.
what'd you think of the Senna livery for McLaren?
There is not a single team out there that does liveries as well as McLaren.
Yeah.
And this was their best one.
It looked really good.
It was gorgeous looking.
Yeah.
Yeah. And ignoring the fact that it's duck colored, which,
Yeah, it's bonus.
whatever. It's a bonus. But, and, McLaren's the team Cassie and I root for. So it's like, it was really, really cool. I really liked it. It's the background on my phone right now.
the Brazil flag car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so cool looking.
Yeah. I like those.
They've done well.
And those Gulf baby blue, when they do the baby blue, looks really, really good too. So, but yeah, I think this looked great. I thought it looked really good. It was well done.
Everyone's making fun of Ferrari because Ferrari will come out and be like, "We made a new livery," and it's a red livery with blue wheel caps,
Yeah, right.
A little bit of blue.
I liked the blue wheel caps. I did. I thought those were.
I thought that whole car should have been blue with dashes of red.
That would have been cool.
A red car with
Streaks,
dashes of blue,
like streaks of red.
Yeah.
Yeah.
streaks of red or something. Yeah, I thought that would have been awesome. But that's clearly, I mean, I get it. I get it. Ferrari, heritage, whatever you
You're
got to say
red.
to
I get
yourself
it.
to make you
Yeah.
sleep at night. But at the end of the day, they sold Monaco McLaren hats that were that were yellow with green writing,
Right.
and they just said Monaco on it and had the McLaren logo on the back. Sold out in seconds.
Yeah.
In seconds. Ferrari could only dream.
Yeah. Right. Well, I mean,
So,
Ferrari sells a lot of stuff just in general, but to mostly Italian people. So
and I'll tell you what makes me think about that all blue. When the players are walking around, not players, wow, that's what we were saying. When the
whatever.
drivers were walking around the pits, they were wearing, the Ferrari drivers, the Claren Sainz were wearing these blue button ups, like workman shirts, almost.
Yeah.
And they were the same color blue, but the whole shirt was blue with all the little Ferrari red logoing and things like that. And I was like, that's the way the car should look.
Right. So
But
So after the race, now, if you're looking at the driver standings, Max Verstappen's still in first place with 169 points. That's because he's won 6 races and only not he lost 2. One they went out with the fiery brakes, and then he finished 6th here in Monaco. But he has a 31 point lead over Charles Leclerc, so who is now second thanks to the victory. Leclerc's been pretty good, been pretty consistent. I think he's finished 5th or 6th is the worst.
No, he knows he
5th,
needs to because
yeah.
Lulu's on the way.
Yeah, it's true. It's a good point.
Lulu's coming next year, and who are we putting? That's two elite drivers. Who are we putting the eggs in the basket of?
It's interesting.
At least for this year's sales, that sort of thing. So I think that if Leclerc keeps having this kind of year, he is the lead driver next year.
So it was funny when you look at the standings. If you go look at the overall standings, Oliver Behrman, who raced in one race, replaced Carlos Sainz, right, is ahead of 9 drivers who have been there all season in terms of points.
I mean,
right. So that's just telling you. I think it's more the car than it is the driver, but there's that. So just as an FYI. But yeah, it's interesting. So Leclerc's in second, Norris in third. So Carlos Sainz, Sergio Perez, Oscar Piastri is moving up. In the last 2 races, he's got 30 points of his 71 for the season. Oscar Piastri is a good driver. I mean, make no bones about it.
He seems pretty good, right?
Yeah. You don't hear about him.
Really calm.
You never see him getting in a kerfuffle or a tangle. He's just there all the time. And he has good speed, and, he got a good car. So there's that. But anyway.
Wait, was Oscar Piastri the one with the drama, or was that the DeVries guy?
Oh, yeah.
Remember last year there was the whole I'm not going to go race for that team or whatever?
Yeah, that was Nick DeVries, I think, wasn't it?
That was Nick. I can't remember which of the two it was, but whoever it was, there was a whole. Oh, okay. It was Oscar Piastri.
Which team was trying to take him?
He was set to drive for Williams, and he didn't want to drive for Williams.
Well, I don't blame him. Would you?
And so, no, not even kind of. But yeah, he got out of his contract, and then that's when he went and signed with McLaren.
Yeah.
Okay, that's who it was. Yeah. I remember that whole thing, and I remember being like, "Oh, this guy." And everyone was like, "This guy's so snotty," and blah 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 blah. But apparently, it made sense.
Alex Albon and Pierre Gasly also scored their first points of the season in this race. Just FYI, throwing that out there. Not that it matters, but still have Zhou Guanyu, Valtteri Bottas, and Logan Sargent who have no points. Logan Sargent will not be a Formula One driver next year. That's a
probably not, but only if there's somebody suitable to replace him.
No, Oliver Behrman could replace him, but I'm not sure.
Oliver,
he's part of that. But
I'm reading it now. Apparently, what happened was Piastri. Alpine announced Piastri was driving for them to replace Alonso, and then he immediately went to Twitter and said, "I did not sign anything with them." And then that was the dispute, and the Alpine Otmar Snaffenauer, whatever you say that guy's name.
Snaffenauer,
yeah. He started criticizing Piastri's actions and integrity as a human being. So they expected him to be loyal. Yeah. And then they took him to the FIA's contract recognition board, and the recognition board was like, "No, he never declared intention to race for your team."
Wow.
So yeah, he was the one,
yeah.
Piastri. But yes, totally right, absolutely stellar. And I do think you're right. I think Bierman could easily take the seat, but we've only got one race of Bierman, right?
It's true. It's a small sample size.
Is he the next Logan Sargent?
I don't know. Well, he's already got way more points than Logan Sargent ever made, so
Yeah, but
Um,
William, he's having to drive a Williams,
and
man.
I know, and that's the thing is that if you and being the backup driver for Ferrari is a good gig. I mean,
That is a really good
that's a
gig.
good gig.
You get paid well.
Yeah,
You don't have to do as much of everything
right.
else.
So test the car every once in a while, drive some practice laps. Fill in
Yeah,
fill in for someone when they get sick. That's not bad. I'd do that.
it's the dream.
I'd do that. I could. You know what? I don't even race, and I have as many points as Joe, Valtteri, and Logan do this year combined. So there's
If
that.
my feet would fit in a race car,
You're too big. You're too big.
it's.
You're just
I've
too
already
big.
I've looked into like the there's a school down in Arizona that does like F1. That's not F. They use like an F2 car, but they do form. It's a Formula One academy where you can go down there and you can learn to drive. Any ages doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You can go do it. You just have to be in good health. But then there's like a whole bunch of other little stipulations, and one of them's like you have to be under 6'2", and I'm like perfect. And it's like you've got to be what was it under 250, and I'm like think I can figure that out somehow. And then it's like, but your shoe size has to be under 11. I'm like, damn it,
Yeah. I'm just
I can squeeze.
I can almost fit in all that. I can almost do that. I'm a 10 and a half officially, but 11.
Checking. Yeah, it's just it's.
Yeah.
I would love to know actually like what some of these drivers' feet sizes are, just out of curiosity.
It's funny because you see some of them, and there are some tall ones, but there are just some of
Like
them.
Alex Albon.
There are some of them that look tall, but aren't because they're so skinny. Like Pierre Gasly. If you just look at him by himself, he's skinny. He looks tall. He's not. Fernando Alonso. His face is long. He looks like he should be tall. He's not. You go. It's just funny to watch this when you see him. You're like, none of these guys are. They're all like 5'9", and
Yeah,
yet they fit into a car perfectly. And then you get people like me. I'm 5'11", but there's no way I'm fitting in one of those cars. Not a chance. So I'd have to lose a lot of weight just to
we can do one of the older cars. They have a little more space
squeeze
than
in. I don't even want to. Anyway, not that I'm gonna
Also,
try.
I just listened to Lewis Hamilton tell me because he did Hot Ones. I listened
Yeah.
to him tell me about how 22 liters of fuel is half a second. 22 liters of weight is half a second off of each lap, and I thought, man, I'd be lucky to make it around. Like, 22 liters is half
22
a second.
liters is half a second. Yeah.
Jeez Louise. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Anyway,
Uh,
so let's talk about basketball.
oh yeah.
NBA basketball conference finals going on right now as we speak. Let's first say that the Celtics swept the Pacers in
Yeah.
what I can only term as a giveaway by the Pacers. The Pacers had two of those games in the bag, literally. Should have had
Right.
them and just turnovers and bad decisions down the stretch and gave huge leads away to the Celtics. And credit to the Celtics, they took advantage. They did what they needed to do, and they won. But it just was, I don't know. I had a hard time watching it. The Pacers are, winning. They're up 18 points at one point, right? And then all of a
Yeah.
sudden they're not. And you're like, how do you guys? They are the highest scoring offensive team in the NBA, highest scoring team. And then you see the defense at times, and you go, yeah, this is what happens. They could not stop the Celtics when they needed to win one of
Yeah.
those games. And I just saw them throw away two of the four games, and I was like, this is kind of ridiculous. So,
I personally think this is one of the weakest Eastern Conference playoff runs I've ever seen. A Heat without Jimmy Butler for 3 games.
yeah,
A Cavs team which is notably worse this year than they were last year and is still super, super, super young, and a super, super young Pacers team. Like, they didn't have to play a couple good teams that were floating around. They didn't have to play the Bucks. They didn't have to play the Sixers. They had to play. And I mean, that's the perks of being the 1 seed, right? Is that you don't have to play hardest teams.
But I will say this: the group that's out there that you see, the core group, Tatum and Brown and Holiday, Horford, Devin White was amazing in this series. If you just watched him, he's everywhere. He's blocking shots.
Derek White,
Derek
the guy
White,
with like the bald head.
yeah, he's grabbing rebounds. He's blocking shots. He's freaking making passes. He knocks down threes when he. I'm like, holy cow, he was amazing to me. I don't never really watched him play that much, I guess, but I watching him in the series. I have a new respect. He was an amazing player. He's probably the MVP of the series for me. You can go ahead and score 30 points a night if you want to, but that guy that makes 2 block shots and has 3 steals and has 5 assists is super, super important.
Right.
So the role player guy who does a little bit of everything, and especially on defense, when you're talking about the top scoring team in the NBA and you're getting block shots and steals and playing lockdown defense, that's super important. So
Hmm.
yeah, I thought Indiana was overmanned, overmatched, but they scored enough. They had a way to score, but they just couldn't stop the Celtics when they needed to. So anyway,
Yeah.
it's a sweep. Get your brooms out. Boston's going to be in the finals, and
Again.
they should be. They're the number one team in the East, and they were probably the best team all season long. So that's fine. I'm okay with it, right? Um,
Yeah.
so in the West is a whole nother thing. Who are playing right now? Mavericks and T Wolves are playing Game 5 in Minnesota right now. Mavericks lead by 25 as we're starting the fourth quarter. There's 9.5 minutes left. It's 103-78. Mavericks just need the one win to lock it up, and then the finals start on the 6th, June 6th, by the way. Um, I was kind of when I watched Game 4 in Dallas, and I saw the banner on the side of the court that said, "Hey, here's the NBA Finals start June 6th," and this was what 2 nights ago. It's
Yeah.
on Tuesday, right? And I went, today's the 28th. If the Mavericks win tonight and sweep, we're gonna have 10 days before the finals start.
Yep. That's about the same.
Seriously, what is
It's like
going?
it's like what the NFL does for the Super Bowl.
Well, yeah, but I don't. You, 10. There's no reason to wait 10 days. Why did it have? Why did you have a set date for the finals to start? I mean, I understand because of the broadcast, blah 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 blah. But still, dude, what happened if every series had been a sweep and nobody had? You know what I mean? You would have had even earlier. You would not have had 12 days off. I don't know. It's just weird to me to do it that way. To have a set date. Normally, it's just okay. These two that are our finals guys. We're going to give you 2 days off, and now we're going to start the finals. Meh.
Well, I think the other thing to consider is when you're trying to schedule a finals, most of these stadiums are multi-use. So there's hockey teams that are still playing this time of year. Maybe your hockey team is, maybe your hockey team isn't. The Boston Bruins were good enough to could possibly be playing this time of year,
True.
right? So just thinking about them alone, you'd be like, all right, do we want to give ourselves enough time for the Stanley Cup Finals to be washed or resolved or whatever? Like, I guess you just give yourself a little bit of space to kind of step away from these things. Or maybe these are the times, the start date that falls perfectly with WNBA teams that may use those facilities and things like that. I don't know. I could see there's so many different little things. And then
Yeah.
on top of that, you have all the TV contract stuff. When do we want to start broadcasting them? What does that look like? How do we build the most hype? How many days do we need to do that? Like all these little things. I could see it adding up so fast. And then you just be like, okay, we need like a full week and a half.
But I guess here's what bothers me about the NBA, and that not just the set date of the 6th being the start of the finals, but the second game is Sunday the 9th. Why are there 2 days and why on a Sunday? Why not Saturday? Why are we doing it on Sunday? I just find it weird. Thursday, Sunday, Wednesday, Friday, not 2 days off, only one day off between games 3 and 4. Why? Why did we do it? And then we don't play Saturday or Sunday on the 15th or 16th of June at all. No weekend game at all. I find this schedule to be really weird. And that if you think the game will go 5 or 6 games, if you think the game will go 5 or 6 games, you think the series will go 5 or 6 games, then you're betting on a Monday finish for like the championship game or a Thursday finish, not a weekend. Why would you not have the chance of games 4 or 5 being on Saturday or Sunday? I mean, you have to have 7 games then. It's weird to me the way they do it. So I don't understand the scheduling. But we'll try and get Parker back here in just a minute and see if I can get him back on the phone. So something happened and it went out. Not quite sure exactly. But we'll see if we can get him back on. What happened? Internet went out. So anyway, Mavericks leading the Timberwolves fourth quarter. They just need the one win. It's 103-78. There's timeout right now. So this game might be over. 25 points is a lot to make up in 9 minutes, but I'm not saying it isn't possible. Just saying it's probably not going to happen. So there's a lot to be said for the Dallas Mavericks have a chance. Dallas Mavericks, Dallas Stars both have a chance to win a title still in the same year. Hasn't happened before that an NHL team has won a Stanley Cup final and an NBA team has won the NBA championship in the same season. It's never happened before. Right now, Eastern Conference Finals happening, Rangers Panthers, and in a series that's tied 2-2. They're playing in New York. It's 2-1 Panthers in the third with about just under 6 minutes to go. So Game 5 happening right now on ESPN. If you're watching it, it has been a good series. It has been fun to watch. I think I've enjoyed watching the game. So on Sunday, when the Rangers beat the Panthers 5-4, on Tuesday, Panthers beat the Rangers 3-2. These have all been great games in overtime. Every game has been tight, and that's all you can ask for is that they have good close games. Rangers won game 2 2-1, and then the Panthers won the first one 3-0. That's been the only blowout, if you want to call it that. So really good series right now between the Rangers and the Panthers for the Eastern Conference Finals. And then, like I said, the Dallas Stars have an opportunity to sneak in there and win a title. The Oilers and the Stars, Edmonton Oilers, Dallas Stars, series tied at 2 games apiece. They're going to play Friday in Game 5 in Dallas. So that's on TNT at 5:30. So that's going to be a really good series to watch too. We'll see what happens with Dallas and the Mavericks and the Dallas Stars. Try to become the first city to have NHL champion and NBA champion in the same season. But yeah, if you haven't been watching, the Oilers Stars series has been good too. The last game, okay, not so much. Last night's game, the Wednesday night game, the Oilers, it was 2-2, and then all of a sudden the Oilers exploded. It's 5-2 as a final. So anyway, lots going on in the conference finals in both the NBA and the NHL. It's been a lot of fun to watch. So if you like hockey, if you've never watched a hockey game before, playoff hockey's fun to watch. A lot of intensity, a lot of hitting. And then the game goes into overtime where it's sudden death. That's always exciting. It's fun to watch. So I highly recommend it. I don't know what we're going to talk about now. I don't know if I'll just save this for a later date, but we might not talk about all this right now because I can't seem to get Parker back on the phone. That has been a little interesting. So I don't think the interwebs is treating him well at the moment. We'll try one more time. Skype is not connecting with Parker, so we are not getting anything. So not sure what happened. But he's not there. So anyway, we have some other stuff we wanted to talk about. We'll hold on to it. We will talk about the NFL and first round draft picks that have not. Are you back?
Yeah, I'm back.
All right, and he's back.
The longest break ever.
Longest break ever. Hey, you know what? When you got to go, you got to go. I don't know what happened. It just there he was, and there he wasn't.
I know what happens. I've been using my work computer to run these calls, but every so often it has to refresh its connection to the host VPN, and it's random. It's not like a certain time of day or.
Yep, and it's out. Yep. Cutting out again. Oh, he's back. You're back. You there? Hey. He's there and he doesn't know he's there. Hey, best show ever. I mean, what are you going to do? This is like the best show ever. Let's just see if he's going to come back for me. Parker, can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear
you. Yeah, sorry. I got up to walk away to go try and turn off every device connected to the internet in the house.
It reconnected right when you left, right when you got up. It reconnected.
Yeah.
No worries. And then it's off again. Yeah, there's something wrong. We will. Let's see if it reconnects one more time. We're going to get one more try, folks. I don't know. We're trying to squeeze this in. We'll see what happens. Always something. There's always something exciting. All right. I'm sending him a little quick message, and we'll try again at a later time. So anyway, all that's happened. Angel Hernandez has retired from Major League Baseball, one of the worst baseball umpires if you ask the players and the coaches. And we were going to talk about NFL first round draft picks that haven't signed. That includes overall number 1 Caleb Williams. We want to talk about that. We'll talk a little WNBA and Caitlin Clark next week because do we have a week off from Formula One? I don't even know. I'm not even to that point yet where I have my world together. I wanted to say that we're off for a week in Formula One, but I don't know if that's necessarily true. So June 9th is the next one. That's the Canadian Grand Prix. Yeah, so we got a week off this week. June 9th is in Canada at the Gilles Villeneuve circuit. So that's on ABC, by the way. All those North American ones will be on ABC. The Mexico City one, the U.S. Grand Prix, sorry, and the Canadian one. So if you're a Formula One fan, you got a week off. Anyway, I want to wrap it up. I want to do the trivia question answer for those of you who are hanging on the answer to the trivia question. So the question was, Bill Walton is one of 7 men who've won the Naismith Memorial Trophy, which is presented to the most outstanding college basketball player each year, and also won an NBA MVP. So one of only 7 players to do it. Parker named one. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar has also done it. He is a 6-time NBA MVP, and he won the Naismith Trophy 1 year. Larry Bird, 1-time Naismith, 3-time NBA MVP. Michael Jordan, 1-time Naismith, 5-time MVP. David Robinson, 1-time Naismith, 1-time MVP. Tim Duncan, 1-time Naismith, 2-time MVP. And Kevin Durant, who's a 1-time Naismith, 1-time MVP. Those are your 6 others. So that's the trivia question, the Stave and Stone trivia question. And I want to thank everyone for listening. And we're going to close this out for tonight. We'll do a whole nother show. We'll just have a whole nother episode. Apologize for this one. Sometimes the technical difficulties get to you. And we will figure it out. But we'll do a whole nother show at some point. Start over. And I want to thank everyone for listening. This has been a Brain Rock production, a division of Lonely Tree Media. And we'll see you next week.